Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of That Was Crazy. I'm your host, Jad Yakan, joined with another amazing guest. She's a well traveled Houstonian like myself. She's a lover of the positive lifestyle. I know and love her very much because she's my sister. Her name is Nadia Yakin. Nadia, thank you so much for being on this episode.
Hi, thank you for having me. I'm very excited to be on this episode of That Was Crazy. I
Uh,
got a lot of crazy stories, so
I'm so happy to hear that. I really always enjoy hearing your stories and the different things about all your travels, and especially in New York, because now me coming here, I've had to adjust to the lifestyle here. One thing for sure is I've had my fair share of experiences and interactions with different people, especially throughout the subway and things of that nature, and just traveling amongst the city in general. Sometimes, like for example, I would be like carrying equipment, film equipment through the subway, and I would either accidentally break a little small part of something, or I would end up leaving a bag or something on the subway, and someone would have to let me know, be like, "Hey, like you're forgetting this." Just like little small interactions throughout that have really like adjusted my lifestyle here. So, have you ever had anything like that happen to you throughout your travels?
yeah, actually, so the subway is such a fun, overwhelming place to be in New York City. Not I mean, and dirty. But one time I was going home from work. This was back when I worked in the office. The office was the stop I got off at was 42nd Street, Bryant Park, and I had worn I think this was like within my first year of living in this city. And I was wearing these like gorgeous, like heeled boots, these like brown heeled boots. And I was walking down the stairs to the platform. And as I like hit a step, all of a sudden I fell. And I fell like down like 4 stairs. And there were people around me and they were like, "Oh my God," they like this woman caught me and and looked at me and she was like, "Are you all right?" I was like, "I'm fine." And I looked down and like one of the heels of my boots had fallen and broken off and I like held it in my hand. I was like, "This is great." And the woman looked at me and she goes, "Oh, I'm so sorry." And she like bends down on the stair in front of me and goes, the the heel to your boot fell off, and handed me the other heel of the other shoe. So I had both of my heels of my boots in my hands, and I was like, "This is great." And I had this huge backpack on at the time. I didn't like upgrade to my like chic, cute, like small black backpack. I had like a schoolgirl's backpack on. Like I looked like I was going to class, and I just like stood up. And I'm sweating, and I walked down the stairs, and I just was holding my boots, and I had to walk home and do my rest of my commute home that way. And how heeled boots are made, they're made so that like you can't like walk flat on anything. So I'm like walking on my tippy toes like to the subway stop and I just stood there looking defeated. So that was like the first time that New York City took my shoes. And after that I learned like always wear your sneakers and just bring your cute boots in your backpack.
That's so great. Yeah, I love hearing stories about how their interactions with other people, like New York natives, or just anyone like helping you throughout. Because a lot of
Yeah.
times that doesn't really happen. You kind of have to fend for yourself, or pick your own plans up, or keep going with whatever's happening. I've been lucky enough for being on my program that I am for school, coming here with a group of people. We're always traveling together through the city on the subway system. So I've always had kind of like that cushion if something happens. Like I've had countless times where we'll have like an early trip in the morning and it'll be an all day excursion or something. And then we'll be coming back and I'll just be beat tired. Like,
Yeah.
I'm sitting there on the subway dozing off. And then eventually, like, I might fall asleep. And a lot of times that will happen. But I've been lucky enough to have people in this group be like, "Hey, Jack, we're here. We're here." Like, so I'm not just like gone, like I'm on the subway forever or anything. Now I know that's not always the case. So have you ever had to like figure out a situation like that on your own? Have you ever gotten stuck on a subway or something like that? Because I know a lot of times, I mean, I've even had journeys where I'm just alone and I have to like keep my mind going, but like to make sure everything's going smooth. But I don't know if
Oh yeah.
that happened to you.
I definitely do. So I can 1,000% relate to being like waking up really early and having like an all day event and just being exhausted. I mean, I don't know what it is about like moving vehicles, whether it's the subway, a train, a plane, a car, I can fall asleep. So again, within my first year of living in the city, I mean, it's truly like baptism by fire, like living in the city. Um, I had booked like a headshot session. So I had to be up at like 5 something in the morning because this headshot session was in Brooklyn, and my first apartment was in Inwood, and that is like the top of Manhattan. So my street was on 215th. So if I was taking the A, I was the last stop on the A, which is 207th. And so I had to like be up early to make this like freaking excursion down to to like another land and, and go. So we did the session. It was fine. It was great. I met up with a friend afterwards to like get brunch because I was like, I'm in Brooklyn. She lives in Brooklyn. I'm never going to see her ever unless I go to brunch. So we did brunch. And of course, we had like a few mimosas and things like that. And I was exhausted and it was time to go home. So I like hopped on the M and then I was transferring to the A. And once I got on the A, I was like, I'm here until this train does not move anymore. Like I will so I was like, I'm gonna post my little self up. I like got all comfortable up against the window and I passed out. I was like, I'm ready to sleep away. And I like had a great dream. I was feeling great and all of a sudden like I woke up and it was fall, so it was like October, so the trees were changing, and I opened my eyes, and the first thing that I saw were like trees, and I was like, oh wow, those the trees are so beautiful. I love that. And then it was like one of those moments where I was just like, I never see trees on the A. We're always underground. Where am I? And I realized that I was in the far Rockaways. I was literally on like we had just passed like the 88th stop and I got off on like Rockaway Boulevard and and just like looked at myself and was like, wow, this whole journey didn't have to be this like 4 hour excursion, but now like my whole day is gone. So you just like kind of wake up and you're just defeated. You laugh to yourself because like only you know you messed up. Like everyone around you is just like this person's getting off at their stop or they're not even thinking about you at all, but you're just like I have to literally walk across the street and, and just go back the way I came. So what should have been like an hour was like almost 2 hours. But once I knew I was going the right direction, I did fall back asleep. Uh, but that was definitely a crazy moment where I was like, where am I? Because you're so used to like your commute. You get familiar with your surroundings. And it was so funny because like the A that I would ride is like never above ground. And the second that was like, wow, those trees are so pretty. I knew I was not where I needed to be.
That's so great. Oh my gosh. I have always I like how you bring up like how you get used to your commute. Because
Yeah.
a lot of time, even my time being here a couple months, a handful of months, like I get used to a commute of whether it's like going to help on a film shoot or just like if I'm going to a lunch or something, I always have we usually go to Manhattan from Long Island City, so we're always taking the N or the W to get into the city. And that's usually like the first stop, and then you sprout out from there. But a lot of times for like work or different film shoots or whatever, I'll be on that train, and you almost feel like you see the same people, but a lot of times it's just like you're making that stuff up. But one time I definitely saw someone from the program like after I got off on the first stop that I had to make a transfer on, and it was kind of like this city is so like compact but massive at the same time, and all of a sudden we kind of just like ran into each other. Yes, it was like similar commuting stops, but still
Yeah.
like I was just like, whoa, like we have never like planned something like that before, and it was just like I'm in the middle of the city somewhere and we just happen to like run into each other. So have you ever like
Yeah.
ran into anybody on subway stops at all, or just like had one of those moments where you're like, how on earth did the coincidence of this happen before? Have you ever had
Yeah. Oh my gosh, yeah. So this city, like, it is so big, but it is so small. Like, you are 1,000% correct.
Mhm.
You quickly like find, and it's always when you least expect it. Like, you will always have these funny, surprising moments that it's almost like a gift the city hands you, and it's just like, "Hey, here you go. Here's that person you were thinking of that you're just like randomly not thinking of." So again, this was like I think I had not even been here in the city for a month, and I was thinking about an old friend of mine from childhood because it was her birthday, and I had like just sent her a little happy birthday, whatever. And I was meeting our mom because she had come and visited us.
Mhm.
Not us, me. She had come and visited me. And I was on my way to like go see her. And as I was like exiting the subway, I was approaching a turnstile and I saw this girl like coming in to the same turnstile. And I was like, oh, this is so annoying. Like, she's walking into my turnstile. That's so frustrating. And it was my friend. It was literally my friend whose birthday it was. And I was just like, oh my gosh. And she said the same thing. She was like, I was like, who is this girl just walking into my turnstile? And we like had this moment of just like, happy birthday. And she was on her way to go somewhere. And her train literally arrived, and she was like, "I'll see you when I see you." And I was like, "Bye, love you." And that was it. And I just thought that was so funny. And I've definitely had other moments like that too. Like now that I've been living here for almost 3 years now, I'm within my 3 years.
Mhm.
That happened on a turnstile, and then I've run into several, like two other friends on the M train now that I live off of the M. Um, just like seeing them. Sometimes one time I got onto the M train and my friend was like, Nadia. And we sat on the M train and talked until I had to like get off and transfer to the G. So that was really great. And then the other time I was on my way to work later than normal because I didn't have to be at the office super early. And I saw this friend I had studied abroad with in Milan. And I thought I recognized her because I knew that I knew she lived off the M as well, and I saw her. Actually, I didn't see her first. That's a lie. I saw the dog that I always see that they had on her Instagram stories, and I was like, "Oh my God, I recognize that dog." And then I was like, "I think that's my friend." But I was wearing sunglasses, she was wearing sunglasses, and we both did that thing, where you like stare at someone and you're like, are you who I think I am? But you're
Yeah.
too afraid to be like, hey. So I finally got off, and then all of a sudden I had like an Instagram DM, and it was like, were you just on the M? And I was like, yes, was that you? And she was like, yeah, that was me. So that was really funny that we like saw each other, but didn't think that that was the other person. But for me, it was that I saw her dog first.
The dog was the main but I love that. You're like,
Yeah.
"That's so you." Like, you see the dog, you're like, "I know that."
Yeah. Social media has definitely helped like keep up with all your friends that you meet throughout life. And it was just very funny that I was like, I know that dog from somewhere. Yeah.
I hate when I'm in situations like that, and but I will take the initiative, like, go up to the person and be like, "Hey, like, what's up? Like, it's been a while since I" and so many times it will not be that person. Like, I've had that happen here. It was, like, some dude on a bike, and I just thought it was one of my friends here, and I literally went up to him and was like, "Hey, like, good to see you here," and he just, like, looked at me, and then I was like, "Whoa, like, you are not, like, who I thought you were," but then like we ended up chatting for a sec because like he was on his bike, but he wasn't like in an intersection or something. He was just chilling like where he was.
Yeah.
Um, and we ended up talking, and eventually like he was interested in film as well, and I'm a film and digital media major. Like, so it was kind of just one of those things where like he wasn't my friend, but then he became my friend. And I was just,
Yeah.
I feel like that happens a lot throughout, like, I mean, in life in general, but especially in New York, I feel like going out and about, like can be very talkative, and you kind of meet friends in random places. So
Oh yeah.
have you had any good stories with, like, meeting strangers that will help you out, or just any local spots you may have gone to, like, frequently and then just picked up some friends there, whether it's through thinking they were someone else you thought they were, or just, socializing?
Yeah, for sure. I think the city gets a bad rap from a lot of people thinking that because New Yorkers are very like they are very hard and they have a hard exterior. But I recently like saw something on Instagram that was like New Yorkers are like fake mean. They're like they need to go where they need to go and stuff, but like at the end of the day, if you need help or you're having an issue, like we will help. They're very kind and they will help you. And I think that overall energy just like flows throughout the city.
Mhm,
And I think that was like one of the biggest things that has been like something that I've missed experiencing on a daily consistent basis through the shutdown because last year, I mean, in 2019 into 2020, even at the very beginnings of 2020, it was just like you would find yourself, whether it's a park or a bar, like there just any tiny little similarity can like bring people together.
mhm,
So this one time it was Halloween of 2019 and it was my first time going like down into the West Village area to like go see the parade. And my friend and roommate was working at Grey Dog at the time, down in the East Village. And so we went to have a couple drinks. And so I had my very easy, like, Halloween costume for the rest of my life from when I studied abroad. I went to Springfest in Munich and I bought a dirndl. And for anybody who doesn't know what a dirndl is, it's like a beer maid costume. And that will literally forever be my Halloween costume. So I was dressed in that dirndl. I'd like gone to work that day dressed up and was like out meeting at the bar. And I was talking with a bunch of my friends while we waited on our friend to like finish up her shift and we were just drinking, having a great time. And all of a sudden, this guy walked in, and he was in lederhosen, which is like the guy equivalent to what I was wearing. And I was like, "Hey, oh my god, you're my beer guy!" And he was like, "Haha, you're so funny. You're right." And like we bought each other drinks, and we were like making jokes. And I have a picture to this day of him and I in that bar, like posing as like beer maid and beer man and we and that was like what we did. It was just so funny. It was like a blink of an eye. Like he, as quickly as he came in, all of a sudden he was gone, and I was like, okay, bye, bye, sir. So I have like random photos with random people on my phone from like nights out in New York because like you just find people like that and you find something whether it's like a shirt they're wearing or like a song you're dancing to and all of a sudden they're your like best friends.
Yeah. That's so great. I love the fact of people coming together, especially you're like a social butterfly, so you know
Yeah.
how to, yeah, you know.
Yeah. It's so
Um,
true.
yeah, I definitely have had situations just like that. Probably not as many as you, just like because of the social butterfly aspect. Actually, one in particular today, like it was actually raining kind of hard today, and I didn't really account for that, and I was going out to get some food around the corner before we were actually coming here to record, and I went out there in like shorts and a t-shirt because like I just hadn't even looked outside somehow. Like those
Yeah.
days where you're just like, oh, whatever, like I'll just go out. And it like I checked the temperature, but I didn't look at like the weather. And I just kind of went out there, and I had a friend like he's kind of like my friend, like he's the doorman that works for our apartment here.
Oh,
Yeah.
I love that.
I've become good friends with him just because like we would talk every now and then and go out.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like one of those stories where you meet someone here. I mean, obviously he's like the doorman. So and like I'm walking out and he's just like kind of laughing at me and I'm like, what? And then like, I'm like, so I went out, I was like, what's so funny? And he's like, dude, have you like looked outside? And I'm like, oh, like it is pouring down rain. Like I'm outside and I'm in shorts and a t-shirt, like trying to walk around the corner. And he's like, yeah, good thing I was looking out for you. And I'm like, yeah. So I mean, it's definitely been like the weather in general here, like since my time adjusting has been it's kind of freaky. I mean, coming from Texas, like Texas has like bipolar weather as well. But I think
Yeah.
because of that, I'm like, oh, I can just like wear whatever and go. But that's not the case. Like in New York City, like you actually have to plan for it, especially with the cold. So like, I don't know if you've ever gotten trapped outside or in
Yeah.
different weather situations, but how have you managed to like grow accustomed to that?
Yes. New York City is full of surprises, within the weather, the environment, everything. Um, for instance, right now it's sunshine, and not 10 minutes ago, it was pouring down rain. And just to keep on theme with the pouring down rain, so a group of my friends from study abroad, it was really cool. It's a cool story because I had not actually studied abroad with them. I had met them through mutual friends who had studied abroad with them a year prior. And it all just turned out that like some of us my friend Maggie lives in New York and Nina lives in New Jersey, and our friend Maurizio from Amsterdam was coming to visit. And so we were like, we all have to get together. We have to take him out, show him a good New York City nightlife time, and especially because he's like a DJ in Amsterdam. So we were like, we got to show him a real good time. So, and in the summertime, it's really, really like, who knows what the weather is going to be like. So we were pre-gaming at Maggie's apartment, and we were having a great time. Just having, those typical pre-game moments. And I don't know who, but someone was like, "Hey, we actually should think about leaving because it might rain soon." And what I've learned is like if it might rain, it means it will rain. And so we were like, okay, yeah, that's fine. We weren't like really hurrying because we were just trying to beat the New York City prices. We were trying to fill up water bottles with our little like alcohol, whatever. And we were like heading out. We were laughing a lot and like skipping and having a good time, just like really enjoying the weather. And it was about like a 10-15 minute walk from Maggie's place to the subway. And I didn't really know where we were because I'd never really been in this part of Brooklyn before, and I'd never been to this club before. So I really was just kind of like, the ball is in Maggie's court. We are following this person. And we were walking and everything was fine. And then all of a sudden, the sky just opened up completely and just began to pour down like the heaviest rain, just like was falling onto us. We all scattered and began to run. It was like honestly kind of like, when you were a kid and you used to like run through the rain, and you would go super fast and you would try to see if like the rain couldn't touch you. It was like that. We were all running. I was in my heels. We were like screaming at each other, like where to go, because I couldn't see anybody. It's nighttime. We ended up at this like weird cul-de-sac like intersection. There was a huge tree in the center, and like through the rain, I could see Maurizio like standing underneath this tree. So I ran over under to him, and we all kind of like gathered our bearings and got ourselves together, and um we like pointed ourselves in the right direction. We like saw the light of like an underground like subway entrance, and we were like, run. So we ran and ran and ran, and we got like, as we walked down the stairs, when it's like pouring down rain, like it like falls down from the top of the underground like entrance of the subway. It was like those final bits of the waterfall that like came onto us, and we got to our platform and we were dripping wet. We looked like we just like walked out of the shower. Like we put on our clothes to go out to the club, got into the shower, and headed to the subway. That is how we looked. We looked so rough. My clothes had never been like, they were just sticking to me. They were so wet. And we got onto the train. We got off at Essex Street and we get out of the underground. We walk up and it was completely clear. There was not a raindrop in sight. We were just soaking wet. We were just four soaking wet people and like stood in line and people were like looking at us weird. My hair was still like dripping wet. I had just gotten my hair done too. Like I like dyed it purple and a couple weeks later when I went to go get it redone, the purple had turned green and my hairstylist was like, "What did you do?" And I was like, "Well, I got caught in the rain in New York City. That could have polluted my hair and turned it green." So that was a crazy moment when all four of us were like, we were not prepared at all in the slightest for the monsoon that happened.
That's so great. And I love how like some of your connections from your study abroad program, because what made that transfer over into New York, because you studied abroad in Milan, and
Yes,
that
that
must
is where I
have been great.
studied abroad.
Yeah, that must have been a great experience for that, and just seeing how that even the connections made there kind of transfer over. And I love how you brought up during
Yeah.
that story. It was like we had our little to-go cup because New York prices are insane. And so have you with any of your other travels, would you say like compared to New York, I guess comparing Texas to New York and then maybe even Milan, have there ever been situations where like pricing has been like a huge effect on any of your like outings and you've had to like pull anything crazy out? Because I've definitely had moments where all of a sudden I'm paying like $80 for something that should have been like probably under $30 or something like that, and it kind of just hits you and you're just like,
Yeah.
whoa, like what just happened to my bank account? So did you ever have anything like that amongst your travels?
Yeah. So when I was studying abroad, the like a big thing in Milan. First off, when I was living in Milan, it was the dollar and the euro were about like even, which was really great because I was not the best at like conversion rates in my head. I was like, I'm a theater major. I don't do math and I don't do mental math. So the fact that it was like very similar, I was like, yeah, this is about the same price. But one thing that a group of my friends told me about was that they're like all throughout the city of Milan. And if there's a place in New York, like I need to like be told this right away. Because we have like New York has like bottomless mimosas, for like brunch or, um, like you can go to different restaurants where you can like bring your own alcohol, like your own bottle of wine. So it like helps cut down on the price. But like in Milan, there are a plethora of places where it's all you can eat sushi. And you pay like it was like 12 euro 50 cents, which was like roughly $13. And you just like eat all you can eat sushi. But the caveat is like the catch is that you have to finish everything that you eat. And so like this was a great opportunity to like go with a bunch of friends. Like you go with like 13 people and you do all you can eat and you're just like eating all the sushi and it's wonderful. Well, it was at the end of my study abroad and I was by myself because everyone had gone home, but I wanted to stay and like travel on my own a little bit. And all of my local friends who were like living in Milan from Milan and going to school in Milan were all in exams. So no one could hang out with me like randomly during the day. And I decided that it was going to be a great decision to take myself to go out to eat at this all you can eat sushi place. I was like, yeah, this will be great. It'll be $13. I'll just eat whatever I can and I'll like meet up with my friends afterwards and it'll be totally fine. Well, it wasn't fine because I ordered probably enough food for like four people and I was by myself. And it got to the very end and like they're not like super strict, but they definitely like if you leave enough on your plate, like you have to pay the full price, which is like 22 to anywhere from like 22 to like $24.
Mhm.
And I just like wasn't I was like really on my last like couple dollars of the study abroad. So I was like, I can't, I got a budget. So I come to the end and there's like about like one whole order of shrimp tempura like left. And my friends had told me stories of like when they had gone in the past and people hadn't finished and they would just like put the food in their purse and just like go and exit out and no one would ever know the difference. So, and I laughed at that. I was like, that's hilarious. That had never happened to me. Well, here I was faced with a decision. This like crazy moment of being like, do I pay $24 or do I just shove these like six shrimp tempura in my purse? And I went with the latter. So I was like by up against the window at this solo table by myself, and I was like really like Mission Impossible covert operations happening over here, just making sure no one saw me like casually just like pour like a whole plate of shrimp tempura into my purse. There was like no like clean way of doing this. It was just like it's gonna be shrimp tempura inside my purse now. Like it's gonna be crunchy and greasy. It's here it is. So I did that and I left. And they like I paid the €12 and I said okay like bye and I left and I walked outside and I found a trash can and I threw them away. Except I did save one. I saved one or two because I did get kind of hungry on my walk, like back home. So I ate them on the way back. I didn't throw them all away, but I threw it away. Yeah. So
Oh, that's great.
traveling on a budget by
Yeah,
Nadia Yakin. The book's coming
yeah.
out soon.
If anyone needs any budgeting lifestyle choices, just check out Nadia because she
Yeah.
she will have some tips for you. Oh my gosh.
Oh my
Well,
God.
listen, thank you so much for sharing your stories. I really appreciate them, and I would love to hear more about everything that you go through on
Yeah.
your travels because you are a very well-traveled person, a very lovable person, and I just love hearing everything about you. So I just want to say thanks again for being on the show, and I really hope you enjoyed telling some of your stories.
I did. Thank you for having me. I love sharing things and sharing my stories and having a few laughs. And especially from living in the city, it's been a wild 3 years, a crazy 3 years for sure. Because the city is it is the city that never sleeps and it constantly leaves you surprised and filled with many, many crazy stories to tell for years and years to come. So thank you.
Well, thanks again, everyone, for tuning in. I really appreciate everyone checking out these stories. Tune in next time for the next episode. And Nadia, thanks again for being on this episode of That Was Crazy. We will catch you all next time. Peace.